Hello, hope you and your family are doing well. Today we're going to discuss a very important issue, something that you've heard about before, and it affects a large amount of African Americans. So I'm going to share a little information with you today. Today we're going to talk about sickle cell disease. Well, when I was coming up, most of the times I heard sickle cell anemia. So sickle cell anemia and sickle cell disease are basically primarily the same thing. What is sickle cell disease? We're going to use SCD, and when we use SCD, we're simply talking about the sickle cell disease. It is a group of inherited red blood cell disorders. Keep that word in mind, inherited, and we'll follow up on that later. Its healthy red blood cells are round and they move through small blood vessels to carry oxygen to all parts of our body. And in someone who has SCD, sickle cell disease, the red blood cells become really hard and sticky, and they look like C-shaped farm tools called a sickle. That's how they get the terminology sickle. The sickle cells die off early, which causes a constant shortage of red blood cells in the body. And also, when they travel through the small blood vessels, they get stuck and they clog the blood flow. This can cause pain and other serious problems such as infection, acute chest syndrome, and strokes. Now, remember when we said SCD is a group of inherited red blood cells? Let's follow up on that. What causes sickle cell disease? Sickle cell disease is a genetic condition, genetic and inherited. And that means that it is present at birth. It's inherited when a child receives 2 sickle cell genes, one from each parent. How is SCD, sickle cell disease, diagnosed? With a simple blood test. So you won't have to wait until you're 50 or 60 to determine if you have the sickle cell disease. They can find out immediately once a person is born. It is most often found at birth during routine newborn screening tests at the hospital. In addition, SCD, sickle cell disease, can be diagnosed before birth. So there are a series of tests that can be done to determine if your child will be born with the disease. Because children with SCD are at an increased risk of infection and other health problems, early diagnosis and treatment are very important. Got some other good facts for you today. September is Sickle Cell Awareness Month. And people of African ascendant make up 90% of the population with sickle cell. So that means this is another disease or something we should watch as African American people. About 1 in every 365 African Americans develop sickle cell disease. Let's move on. This goes into a little more statistics. Who is affected by sickle cell disease, SCD, better known as sickle cell anemia? It is estimated that SCD affects 90,000 to 100,000 people in the United States, mainly blacks or African Americans. The disease, they changed the numbers here, occurs in about every 365 to 500 blacks of African Americans born, and about 1 out of every 36,000 Hispanic American births. So, some information. Now we have a very fun activity, a word search for you today. Well, we'll be looking up some words that relate to sickle cell disease, better known as sickle cell anemia. And this word search came to me from the American Sickle Cell Association. So let's see if we can find some of these words, if not all. Anemia, which comes from sickle cell anemia. And let's see if we can find it. Oh, I found it already. Anemia. We can check that one off. Disease, SCD. The D stands for disease. Let's see if we can find disease. We'll follow the D's. And if we can't find it right away, we'll come back to the next. We'll go to the next one. We'll come back to that one. Okay. Look for iron. It's difficult looking from this angle. There's iron, found iron. Popped out right out at me. Now, let's see what else we can find here. Newborn. Let's look for newborn. We have to come back to that. And we'll see how many we can find here today. Joint. Found joint. Let's look for pain. Something none of us want to have. Very difficult looking. Well, we found red. We found pain. Let's look for trait. You've heard of the term sickle cell trait. I see transfusion. Trait. That corner. Let's look for block. Found block. Just a relaxing activity for you and your family to do. I love the word searching. And if you like words and literacy, you'll like it too. And we'll look for one more. Let's look for medicine. And I see it. That was too easy. medicine backwards. And we'll keep going since we're doing such a great job. Hemoglobin is related to blood. Let's look for hemoglobin. Found it. Hemoglobin. Very good. Disease. We'll look for disease now. Sickle cell disease. That may be the hardest one to find yet. Don't see it yet. Don't see that one here just quite yet. Let's try one more. Sickled. And you can take your time, there's no rush. Sickled, found sickled. Newborn. Okay, and we'll stop there. The words that we found related to sickle cell anemia today are anemia, iron, newborn, sickled, joint pain, trait, sickle cell trait is related to sickle cell anemia, dehydration is one of the symptoms, block, medicine we found, red, transfusion, and hemoglobin as it relates to blood. Thank you for joining us today, and be safe out there.